As a kid, I loved Kirby. My first experience with him was in Kirby's Epic Yarn, and I instantly loved it. So I wanted to play another Kirby game and got Return to Dreamland. But what happened to Kirby? Since then, I've played every Kirby game I can get my hands on, since I love the franchise, but more recently, I've been questioning that love. I tried to beat Kirby's Adventure a few years ago and got bored. I played Star Allies when it came out, and I just wanted it to be over. I started to replay Return to Dreamland in order to make a video about it when the remake came out, but canceled the video since I was just getting too bored with playing the game. Kirby appeared to not be fun anymore, but why? Could I find a way to like these games again, and what did I like in the first place? So I decided to go back and play every mainline Kirby game, and we have quite a lot to talk about. So let's go. Kirby started off on the Game Boy, and surprisingly didn't even have its copy abilities yet, which feels weird. The copy ability is what everyone associates with Kirby. Imagine having a central concept tied to your identity, but not having it from the start. Wouldn't know what that's like. This first game is really short and requires you to suck up enemies and shoot them back out. This, by itself, is a cool idea, and I wonder what they could have done with it if they didn't make the copy ability. Because you can only attack if you have swing to suck up, the bosses are actually a lot of fun. Wispy Woods has you dodge his attacks before trying to shoot him with his own apples whenever you get a chance. It's quite fun. In fact, all the bosses are. Lolo and Lala are a lot harder, but in a fun way. Kabula is a shoot 'em up boss, which is a nice change of pace. Kracko has always been one of my favorites from his design alone, and his boss fight has you remember all sorts of attacks. I like it. And DDD as the final boss is great, as he has many attacks and is one of the hardest fights in the game. He makes a great end to the game. So, the game's good, right? Haha, no, not really. The bosses may be good, but they're not the main part of the game, because we haven't even gotten to the levels yet. Oh, the levels. The levels are... Oh, did you think I had something else to say? No, I'll just leave that sentence unfinished. Like the levels. The levels don't have you do much in them at all. They're all about going right, and that's about it. No trying to retain your speed or getting through hard platforming. No, you just go forward. The levels are just hallways with enemies, which isn't very fun. I mean, I don't want to be too harsh since this was on the Game Boy. I mean, Mario's first Game Boy game wasn't that great either. To be fair, this game is one of the best Game Boy games, though that's not saying much. Game Boy games are like Minecraft YouTubers. We used to love them, but now I realize that they're actually terrible. Huh? What do you mean I can use the same joke in two different videos? No, the previous one was about NES games. Totally different. The game does have a lot of charm, like it has little cutscenes in between levels, and Kirby dances when you beat a stage. There's enough here to make you fall in love with Kirby as a character, but not necessarily Kirby as a series. Once you beat the game though, you do unlock a hard mode, which I also beat. I mean, I cheated, but still, I beat it. It just makes it harder, obviously, by adding or changing enemies or editing parts of the bosses. All of the game is harder now. Except Kracko, he has a pretty obvious exploit. I wouldn't say the game is fun on hard mode, though it certainly got me to play it again. Guess that's what you get when you get a short game. Dreamland managed to get 2 sequels, but before they came out, we did get another game. Kirby's Adventure for the NES. This is just more Kirby, which isn't great. There's a ton of new levels here, and most of which are just as empty and boring as before. I mean, I don't know if empty is the right word, because it's not really empty because there's a ton of enemies, but, well, enemies don't mean fun. The game does add a lot to Kirby's formula though, like the most notable addition, the hub world. Yep, that is surely the biggest addition to the formula. No, obviously it's the copy abilities. Oh man, they're here. Each ability only has one attack, with a few exceptions like Sword having a different ability if you attack in the air. Some abilities also feel very similar, like both Freeze and Electric just make a damage circle around you, and that's it. Both of these will be improved in the future games, though we're not there yet. Instead, we're at the beginning of the existence of copy abilities, and, well, did they make the game better? No, not really. It's a fun mechanic, and I did enjoy trying to find all the abilities, but once you've tried everything, then it becomes just more halls with enemies you need to walk through. The game has quite a lot of abilities, but it still ends up getting old, and then you're just left with boring levels, but this time, there's a lot more of them. Oh, but what about the bosses? They must have improved those. No. The copy abilities allow you to attack all of the time, meaning you don't need to wait and time your attacks like you did before. Since you can always attack and do so much damage, it's not even a problem if you get hit because it'll die super quickly. Kracko, who was originally my favorite boss, now is just boring. You're given the super jump ability, meaning you can just jump into Kracko, dealing tons of damage but not receiving any for yourself, making him a pushover. Why? How could they do this to you? I mean, we do get introduced to Meta Knight, who is really cool. He occasionally sends his men after you, leading to you needing to fight them until it's over. It's not fun. Once you get to Meta Knight himself, he gives you a sword for a duel, and it's still not fun. However, he will appear in later games, which is good, because he's cool. DDD's back too, and he's also easy. Why must they ruin the one good thing they had? I mean, after you beat him, Kirby accidentally releases a demon? What is wrong with your games? So fighting demonic last bosses will become a running theme in the series. For some reason, this was the last thing in the game, and I tried over and over to beat it. It was really annoying since he flies you into the ground, and if you don't kill him in time, he'll just leave you to die. I don't even know why this happens. I thought it was a glitch, but it happened over and over, so I guess it's just annoying. However, once I was finally about to beat him, my game crashed, and it lost all my progress, so I guess I'm done with that. At this point, I was not having much fun. I beat Dreamland since it was short, and almost beat Adventure because it's Kirby's Adventure, and I felt like I needed to beat it. But from here on out, I'm just gonna play till I get bored, okay? Okay, I'm bored. Okay, fine, I'll try it. Dreamland 2 decides to build off what Adventure had, and just leave Dreamland 1 behind forever. All around me are familiar faces. Dreamland's best part were the bosses, where you dodge and wait to use their own attack against them. Since the series is going forward with the copy abilities, this isn't really gonna happen again. Adventure's fun from trying out all the new abilities, but once you've tried them all, you just get bored. Dreamland 2 adds on to that with animal buddies. These guys are basically just creatures you can ride, be carried by, or eaten by, I guess. But each one manages to change your ability. If you have an ability as Kirby, you'll have a certain attack. But once you get on the animal buddy, you'll have a completely different attack from the same ability. This means you'll want to try and combine all of your copy abilities with all of your animal buddies, and it leads to a fun system of just combining stuff to see what you'll get. Do you guys remember those evolution games where you just combine everything to get new stuff once you've gotten everything? Well, Kirby's like that, but combined with walking down hallways. Obviously, the experimenting can get bored once you've tried them all, and even before you do, you might get bored of just trying them. So what does Dreamland 3 try to do to make this game better? Well, it just takes Dreamland 2 and stables them together. This is Dreamland 3. No, but seriously, this is about all the game does. The main new thing it adds is 3 more animal buddies, which is cool to try out, but still, it gets boring. I just wanted this game to end after a certain point. The game does add a 2-player though, Goopy. I like Goopy. He's an ingenious idea of having basically another character that can eat enemies and copy them, but isn't just a different colored Kirby. Like, who would be lazy enough to just reskin player 1 to be player 2 instead of making a new character? Who would be lazy enough to do that? Who? So at this point, the games are boring me. I wasn't beating them or having fun, I was just playing them for the sake of playing them. All the games just had a ton of boring levels, and I didn't really want to play them. Is there really a way Kirby can be fun? Superstar has some of the best gameplay we've ever gotten out of Kirby. Instead of having one big game, we have a lot of smaller games packed into one. The first game is Spring Breeze, and it's just Kirby's Dream Land. It's just as short, but this time we have copy abilities to make it different. We also get Dynablade, which is just another game, but this time the final boss is a bird. And Revenge of Midnight, which is another game, but this time there's dialogue boxes and you're on Meta Knight's ship. But overall, same basic structure. These 3 are really boring. They have the same problem I've seen this whole time, and they weren't too fun. I mean, they do have many improvements from the previous games. Like now, Kirby has hats. I like the hats. Every ability also has multiple attacks each, making them all a lot more fun. Beam has a basic beam, but also a big blast, a spiral thing, and a downward angle shot, and probably more. Because of these 2 additions, the game flows much nicer and looks much nicer. I like the changes. We also get the return of partners, though it's not Goopy this time, it's just an enemy. To make one, you just turn your ability into an enemy, meaning you can't keep your ability, which is annoying. I wish I could make a partner, but still keep the ability I want. But still, I guess this works. I mean, eventually I just stopped having partners since they got in the way and were annoying. But it's another addition, I guess. But what did I mean when I said that this game has some of the best gameplay in the series? When does that come in? Well, what are the most fun bits of Kirby? Originally it was bosses, then it was experimenting with stuff, but now it's exploration and puzzle solving. These two are shown off amazingly in the final 2 campaigns of Superstar, the Great Cave Offensive and Milky Way Wishes. These two are awesome. The Great Cave Offensive has you in one big maze level that has you go from room to room, solving puzzles and doing challenges to collect treasure chests with items inside. Once you've gotten everything you want, you progress forward and loop back around to the start and leaving with all the treasures you have. This is a lot of fun. Trying to find all the treasures by solving environmental puzzles is awesome and means you're actually doing something other than walk forward, kill enemy, walk forward. It's a lot of fun, and I hope we get more Kirby games in this style in the future. So I guess Kirby's peaked. That's the best we've got so far, right? Well, we're not done with Superstar yet. Milky Way Wishes is awesome. When you start, you realize you can't get copy abilities. Did they remove them? Are we going back to the days of the original Dreamland where there were no copy abilities? No, because you need to find them. That's right, instead of finding random treasures, this time you find abilities and you get to keep them and choose whichever one you want whenever you want. This is cool. And the levels, well, they're not amazing, but they're better than the regular stages. The first level has you travel between different seasons to solve environmental puzzles. That's cool. The later stages also rely heavily on mazes, which, while they're not great, they're better than just halls. If I had a complaint, it's that you don't really need to go back. In one level, I found something that I needed fire to bypass. I didn't have fire, so I left. Later, I found an ability with fire, so I went back, used the fire, and I just got food. I thought I can get a cool new ability, but no, nothing much. So that's a bit annoying, but still, this game is still one of the best we've gotten so far, and it ends with a battle with Marks, which is one of the coolest characters in the series. We also got Gourmet Race, and that's a 10 out of 10. This game even got a remake for the 3DS with new content. Like, what else could they add? Is it more creative, explorative design?
Nope.
Oh, well, at least we got some new stuff, right?
No.
The first new game is called Revenge of the King, and it's just a remake of Dreamland 1, but harder, and that's about it. I mean, more content is more content, but still, that's not much. We also get Meta Nightmare Ultra, where you play through the entire game, including everything from Spring Breeze to Milky Way Wishes, but this time as Meta Knight. This is actually pretty awesome. Meta Knight always has a sword ability, and can't lose it, along with a faster flying speed. This means you'll just speed through levels, no wasting time with slow flying, getting abilities, looking for secrets, or even just moving through the world map. You just run forward, and it's pretty fun. He also has a series of moves that he gets from killing enough enemies, so you're encouraged to attack, but attack fast. This whole mode is fun, but it's also playing through everything I just played, but again, so it's still not my favorite. Cool addition, I just didn't want to play through it all again. We also get Helper's Arena and True Arena after that, but still, nothing else amazing. I played this game as a kid, and I loved it, but there was always one Kirby game that I always wanted to play, but was never able to. But now I am. The game is Kirby and the Crystal Shard, and it features the mechanic of having two abilities at the same time, and you're just combining them, and that's awesome. That's cool. I wonder if I could do that. I have an apple, I have a pen, outdated me, my friends. So first things first, I played this on the Switch, and that means the controls suck. They don't make any sense in the way they were mapped, and I was just constantly confused. With that said, the game itself is also confusing. It took me too long to figure out how to actually combine abilities. I assumed I could just suck one up and then suck another one up. But no, you have to take an ability off and throw it at an enemy in order to combine them and then re-eat it, and now you have both of them. This is irritating. This makes combining them take far longer than it needs to. And if you want to get rid of just one of your abilities but not the other one, well, you can't. This makes the idea of experimenting with combinations annoying since you have to start over each and every time. There's also a ton of abilities in each level, so you have to decide whether to change your ability all of the time, barely playing as each one, or pass a ton and don't try all the ones that you wanted to try. It's annoying. We also don't have hats here, nor multiple moves for each ability, and we're back to just the basic levels. Ugh. I do get it, since this is the first 3D modeled Kirby game with a ton of new abilities, and having each ability with a different hat and multiple moves can be really hard to make, but it's still a downgrade. I mean, a lot of the mini-bosses just don't move and are boring. In fact, all the bosses are boring. Since you can combine abilities, the game wants you to feel super powerful. So like, if you combine fire with fire, you get even better fire, which does even more damage. So DDD, the first main boss, is way too easy. Easier than Kracko was. Don't worry, you're not the worst anymore. I really want to like this game, but it's just irritating. I hope this mechanic will be revisited and made better, but here, it's very flawed. Do the next games improve though? Well, I don't think so, but I don't own the next few games, and I'm too cheap to buy them, so I'm just gonna take a quick leap in time, so blah 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 blah. Now, we're in modern Kirby. I was looking forward to this game since it's on Wii, and the Wii was where a lot of franchises started to have modern design principles. Galaxy, New Super Wii, Donkey Kong Country Returns, Sonic Colors, depending on who you ask, and hopefully Kirby's Return to Dreamland will be designed just as amazingly. In this era, Mario moved to having level gimmicks, where each level has a unique idea that's used only in that level, but then replaced in the next level. Return to Dreamland appears to... well, it looks like... well, it tries. While playing, I wrote down exactly what each level did, so that I could see exactly how the game kept me entertained, so I'll read what I wrote. Level 1-1 lets you play with the sword ability, then fire, then the game's new mechanic, the ultra abilities. This level has the ultra sword, followed by a black hole side area that's just at the end of all the ultra abilities. Then the level ends. 1-2 has cutter, and then these strings you can cut, then these portable cannons, then spikes, then maybe beam, though I didn't really get to do much with it, so it may have just been there to be an enemy, I'm not sure. Then there was the mini boss, but they happen pretty often, so I'm not really going to mention them anymore. And the end. 1-3 has the spark ability, then a hall full of enemies, so I suppose you could change your ability. Then this key puzzle, I suppose, is trying to be, where you just bring a key back to a door you already passed, then you race to get another key, and then the end. Okay, this is taking a while, so I'll go faster.
1-4 has falling pillars, an invincibility lollipop, umbrella, and ultra fire. 2-1 has whip, then fire again, then a series of other abilities, leading me to assume abilities won't be level gimmicks anymore. Then rolling boulders and a lollipop. 2-2 has water, rock, and then back to water, so I guess the abilities are still gimmicks. Then there's ultra beam. 2-3 has stairs, I guess? Then tornado, super jump, and cannons. 2-4 has a moving floor and a key, then a conveyor belt, bomb, maybe? A dark room with a candle, invisibility crystals, and ultra sword again. 3-1 is the start of the water world, so water will be a gimmick for a while. This level specifically has snow, parasol, spear, and ultra snow. 3-2 has swimming, then not much, and then this boot, but then back to just not really anything. 3-3 has moving platforms, then puzzles, I guess, where you need to remember the layout of a place and then follow the correct path, which is kind of fun. Then there's Ultra Fire, though this time it is better because you actually have to time your attacks. 3-4 has spinning spikes, then eventually a bomb, and
that's as far as I got. Even though the game tries to make each level stand out, I just don't care. The levels have gimmicks, but they're usually not used that much, and they're just random stuff happening until the level's over. Like, I can remember specific Mario stages and Sonic stages, but I can't remember any Kirby stages. They're just not interesting. And even with the few gimmicks, they're just band-aids stuck onto a very flawed system of just moving forward through halls of enemies. Also, as I said before, this game's new gimmick are the ultra abilities, and I don't really think they work as well as the previous gimmicks. The previous ones, like Animal Buddies or Combining Abilities, attempted to amplify your curiosity. Like in Kirby's Adventure, you were always curious about what abilities everyone would give you, and then adding Animal Buddies made the possibilities even bigger, and same thing with combining them. But the ultra abilities don't do that, because they're only used in specific areas and only with the ability that they give you. It's just not as good as a gimmick for a game that's entire fun comes from curiosity and experimenting. I haven't really told a joke in a while, so... Knock knock.
Who's there?
I couldn't think of a joke in time. Return to Dreamland wasn't perfect, and had plenty of issues and things worth fixing, which is why it got a sequel. It also sold millions of copies, which probably also helped. Kirby Triple Deluxe is next, and it's for the 3DS. You get it? Triple Deluxe? 3D? The 3DS. Shut up, I know funny when I see it. This is just Return to Dreamland. Again, it still has random gimmicks that aren't for whole stages, but just show up randomly. It also doesn't have the ultra abilities, but this time has the Supernova, which is a big sucking power-up. It's cool the first time, but it doesn't change much. That's it. This same structure is used for the next game, Planet Robobot, but this game's gimmick is that Kirby gets to drive a giant robot, which is actually pretty fun because you get to choose what ability to use with it, adding onto the curiosity, which makes it fun. But then you realize you're still just moving through halls of nothingness, but this time in an armored suit. Some abilities are actually pretty cool, like the parasol allowing the robot to fly, which is awesome, but still, it's not that much. The next game, Star Allies, is the same basic thing. Basic levels, random stage gimmicks, that's it. The game-wide gimmick this time is that you have partners again, which is now greatly improved from Superstar, since now you can just throw a heart at them instead of having to give away your ability. This also means you can befriend bosses, which is really cool. They also brought back a ton of older bosses, which is really cool, but I just wish I got to play as them. But you can't. Only 2-player can, meaning the big gimmick this game has, 1 player can't really even use. Okay, actually you can just ride on the partners in order to control them, but I didn't realize you could do that until I was basically done playing the game. Also, it's just not as cool as playing as them, so whatever. This game also brings back battles, where you're locked in a room and just have to fight, but this time it's against more than just Meta Knight's Men, and it sucks. The games are just boring. The first few were boring, but had some fun bosses or gimmicks. Then Superstar had some amazing games, and the modern ones are boring, but with even worse gimmicks. Except the robot one, that was pretty good. The games felt repetitive to play, and I just kept wanting them to end. That's why I didn't beat anymore. But even if they did end, I would just have another Kirby game to play. I was basically just done with the series at this point. If only there was a game that could change that. A game that could have a fun gimmick, but also just be fun within itself. Well, we got one of those. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. The name that I just, for some reason, can never remember.
Forgotten Land.
Forgotten Isle.
Forgotten Land.
Forgotten Island.
Forgotten Land.
Ah, 3D Blast.
That doesn't even sound the same.
This game is the first mainline 3D Kirby, and because of that, its design is completely different than the rest of the series. Just starting the game shows you this is gonna be different. While other games start you in the overworld and teach you the mechanics with big signs in bright grassy areas, this game starts you off in the first level and teaches you in a dark forest. And it doesn't have big billboards, it uses level design to teach you. And a little window that pops up in the corner. After it's done teaching you, you get a great cinematic shot welcoming you to the game. And once you finish the level, you have a cutscene set to an actual song. It feels like the designers knew this was going to be big, but none of that really matters if the gameplay's bad, but it's not. I've said multiple times what makes Kirby games fun, and I've said everything from experimenting to exploring to... I think there was a third one, but I can't remember what it was. Oh! Kracko. You're the reason Kirby's fun. This game focuses on exploring and does it very well. Because the game's 3D, you have so many more places to hide stuff, and they hide stuff everywhere. Every level has multiple hidden Waddle Dees that you can save, and I wanted to save all of them. I was even replaying old levels to find more Waddle Dees that I'd missed the first time. The levels also have far more interesting designs. And yes, plenty of the levels do have sections with enemies in hallways, but not only are they far less frequent, but they're also more fun since moving in 3D is more fun. The bosses are also made much harder, especially with the clear condition to not be hit. I replayed these bosses so many times to not get hit, and they were awesome. Wispy Woods fight even gives you a Waddle Dee if you beat him without a copy ability. This has to be a reference to his first boss fight where you didn't have a copy ability. Speaking of abilities, they're all reworked now to fit in 3D, and a lot of them are awesome. Cutter lets you hold a blade in place and charge it up before calling it back to you, which is awesome. Like you can place it behind an enemy and then call it back to you and stab them in the back. It's awesome. Spike lets you roll around, but slows down immediately and speeds back up whenever you hit an enemy, which is a lot of fun. We also have the new drill ability, allowing you to go underground and pop up on enemies. You can also make a circle that explodes or something. Cool. Or there's a new gun ability. Yes, Kirby, that is your second amendment right. Except that you're made in Japan, so you're breaking the law. You also get to upgrade each and every ability multiple times, and sometimes you have different options to choose from which one you like more. It's awesome. This game also introduces the mouthful mode gimmick, which is fine. Again, it's not an amazing gimmick, but it's something to spice up the gameplay occasionally. It can be fun, but that's about it. I don't really think it needed this gimmick, since it being in 3D could have been the gimmick or the ability upgrades. I mean, it's fine and kind of fun, but still a bit unnecessary. This is peak Kirby, where it actually feels like Kirby is the way he's meant to be, and I hope it stays that way. I've played a bit of each game for this video, but only played each one once in one sitting, and then I quit and I never went back. The only exceptions to this were Superstar and Forgotten Land. And Adventure, but that was back when I was trying to beat them. Like a while back, I made a Sonic Colors vs Sonic Unleashed video, and I was playing those games the same time I was playing these games. And I needed to finish them quickly to write the script and make the video, but I was putting them off to keep playing Forgotten Land. I had to play those for the video, but didn't because I was having too much fun with a Kirby game. That shows you how much fun I'm having. Obviously, the game's not perfect though. Like how the game wants you to try and not get hit from a boss, but doesn't have a reset button. Meaning, if you get hit, you have to manually quit the level and enter it again, which can take a while and is very annoying. But overall, this is modern Kirby. If only we had gotten it years ago. If you haven't played all the Kirby games, don't. Just play this and Superstar Maybe Shatter Crystal, see the gimmick, and then quit. Can we please get a game with this mechanic, but done better, and in 3D? I'd spend all of my money on it.
Cool, I start a Kickstarter. Go and donate.
No. I'm glad this game is amazing, because Kirby deserves it. HAL Laboratories is great, and it's made a lot of games that I've really liked, like Box Boy or Part-Time UFO. They also appear to really care about the games that they're making. And Kirby, he's just a cool character. So I'm glad he's finally gotten the quality that I think he deserves. If you like the classic games, then by all means, enjoy them. But to me, I haven't really liked them since I was a kid. But this is awesome. So if you don't mind me, we're off to get married.
That's a spaghetti cloud that kills people. And it's fictional.
Shut up, it's the 21st century. I can marry whoever I want. No! Hello everybody, thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing. It'd be great if you did. I haven't done another Kirby video, but I do like a Nintendo video every month. Mostly Nintendo, sometimes Sonic, but usually Nintendo. So I'll have another one next month. I had one last month, which was like ranking Mario games. So watch that if you want. But for now, just thank you for watching.